In this video, we show you how to get started with Microsoft Power BI to create QuickBooks reports using QuickBooks. We are assuming you have properly implemented QuickBooks and that you have successfully synced your data a first time. We have over 200 examples in the QuickBooks configuration tool for 6 different applications, including Power BI. Each Power BI workbook uses one of our 35 data models to get you started out of the box. A data model is a complete cube of information covering a specific QuickBooks topic or business subject. As opposed to a third-party ODBC connector, which requires learning about tables, relationships, mapping documents, and QuickBooks data dictionaries, QuickBooks is everything put together with dozens of additional measures that QuickBooks doesn't have and hundreds of additional measures in Power Pivot or Power BI. Many are unique and all-encompassing, such as sales and purchases, inventory, payroll, and job cost. A good number of our data models deal with various options for financial statements and things like cash flow and trial balance activity. And some are accountant-based, such as general ledger detail and profit and loss detail and fixed assets. There is a video link below where we discuss the data models in more detail. For now, the thing to remember is that one data model does not depend upon another, and you would never tie one to another unless you are trying to do something that QuickBooks does not do or store underneath the hood. We were the first QuickBooks third-party developer to provide out-of-the-box integration. But our first 2 iterations were weak, and we only had some pre-built data models and a few examples. But in QuickBooks version 10, we have added over 5,700 DAX measures and over 200 examples. So we've made it easy for the average user, yet powerful and flexible enough for advanced users or developers. We can save either party thousands of dollars trying to start from scratch. We hired the best in the world, Russo, to help us create a Power BI and DAX methodology that was both accurate and flexible. Before we dive into Power BI, I'm going to quickly show you a sales data model example for Excel, so that you can see the similarity of QuickBooks data modeling against the more popular applications, including Power BI. The Excel examples make it easy to drag and drop fields so that you can compare them to QuickBooks, and the Select Assistant will be very similar to what you see in Power BI. If we toggle this to show more fields, we see that there are about 1,750 fields available. The top level folder has all of the measures, what we call a fact table in Power BI. And of course we have all of the dimensions. So you can hover over any field to see where it came from in QuickBooks, how it was calculated, and what the expected value ranges are. Now let's look at that same data model that you just saw in Excel and open up in Power BI. If you click on one of the tabs that highlights some of the examples we have, and then look at the right hand side, you'll notice that we have a list of folders and fields that looks a lot like the Excel add-in we just viewed. But there's one big exception. We have hundreds and hundreds of additional calculations that the Excel add-in does not have. These same calculations are also available in Power Pivot. They're called measures, and measure is created in Microsoft with something called DAX language. This is a Microsoft language that was first introduced in Power Pivot back in 2010. If you have never used it before, take consolation, as that we have performed the hard work for you. Our intention is for the average user to use these wonderful tools that are part of your Microsoft Office subscription out of the box, and without the need to spend thousands of dollars to get the information you need to run your business. For decades, this has been way too difficult in the hands of a very few. So we have all types of measures. Here are some customer measures: the first transaction amount, last transaction amount, lifetime value, the count of new customers within a particular time period. You can look at sales history or comparisons. We also have things called pattern measures, where you can compare things side by side, where you might have a year, drill down to a quarter, to a month, to a week, to a day. All these are available out of the box to you. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to create something in Power BI. We're going to get a matrix widget, which is traditional rows and columns. And I'd like to look at new customers by month, but I want to start at the year level. So I'm going to go down to get this year month hierarchy that we've provided for you. And you'll see the totals for the years, and then you can see that there are totals for individual months. Power BI gives you the ability to change your widget automatically to something that looks a little bit more visual. And of course, you can format this in any way that fits your eye. So one of the great things about Power BI is that you can publish your information to the cloud for viewing on a mobile device. You can do this manually via this button here, or you can get something called the Gateway, which is provided by Microsoft on their site, and that sits alongside Cube. And what that does, it takes the information from these documents that you have created and publish them into the cloud for you automatically. In every example, we actually create a mobile example to see what your data might look like on a mobile phone. Here's a simple example, and you'll see that the information is pretty readable. This next section is for advanced users and developers. First, note that the underlying Cube data is connected via Power Query. In Power Query, we create steps for each table. Most of that involves choosing the correct columns and then renaming them to something that is a little friendlier. We also handle all of the steps for the calendar dimensions. So we limit the range of dates to those that exist in a fact table. We provide a series of M calculations so that you can perform accurate time or fraction of year calculations and comparisons. And of course, you can look in the advanced editor to see exactly what we've done and how we documented this. Let's go look at the actual data model. The data model consists of one big fact table, which contains all the measures, and then it is surrounded and attached to dimensions. Dimensions are things like list or geography or dates or document attributes, line attributes. And there's only one way to put this all together. This is a very traditional data warehouse star schema. If you want to read more about our methodology, please visit the URL listed on this page. Realize that we have documented everything that we do. There is nothing hidden. This concludes our video about creating QuickBooks reports and visualizations in Power BI using Cube.